A New Yorker reader chimes in on a burning issue in the Villages. Villager arrested on drunk driving charge after a traffic crash. Hairdresser will be a subject to random screenings as part of her DUI sentence. Villager will challenge a longtime circuit court clerk in Sumter County. A homeless man jumps on stage and makes threats at Town Square in the Villages. This and more coming up. A homeless man jumped on stage and made threats at a town square in the Villages. The disturbance occurred just after the performance ended at 9 p.m. Friday at Spanish Springs Town Square. Brandon Samuel, 30, had jumped on the stage on the gazebo and began yelling obscenities, but was removed by Community Watch, according to the arrest report of Lady Lake Police Department. While Samuel was being escorted from the square, a bottle of alcohol was found in a bag he was carrying, and the bottle was confiscated. A performer told police that Samuel had been looking for a bag and threatened to shoot this whole place up, he said. She and members of the band were packing up their gear at the end of their performance when Samuel continued to question them about his bag. "I will shoot you all if I don't find that bag," Samuel told the band members. Samuel began yelling at the passers-by, and an officer arrived on the scene and intervened. Officers found that Samuel had been arrested 3 times in the past 6 months. When he was taken into custody and placed in the back of a patrol car, he managed to reach around to the front side and exposed himself to a female officer driving the squad car. He used sexual graphic language, masturbated, and ejaculated in the back of her squad car. Oh my God. We have some sick individuals walking the streets. He was arrested on charges of lewd and lascivious behavior and breach of the peace. He was booked at Lake County Jail on a $12,000 bond. I have no idea where these people come from, but let me interject and just make one little comment if I can. This is my opinion and my opinion only. Spanish Springs seems to be having more and more problems up there. Don't know why, but they just do. Here's a familiar face. A villager was arrested on a drunk driving charge after a traffic accident. Sheldon Scott Eggstrom, 60, who lives in the village of Hammock at Finney, had been driving at about 2 p.m. Friday on US 301 when he was rear-ended by another vehicle, according to the arrest report of the Wildwood Police Department. The report noted that the traffic was stop and go due to congestion and traffic lights. The other driver positively identified Engstrom as the driver who had rear-ended his vehicle. Engstrom was unsteady when walking. An odor of alcohol was detected on Engstrom's breath. When the officer announced that the Christ investigation had been concluded and he was switching to a driving under the influence investigation, Engstrom said he did not wish to speak to the officer. He submitted to a breath test and his results registered .172 and .173 blood alcohol content. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center on a charge of driving under the influence. He was released after posting a $1,000 bond. In September, Engstrom pleaded no contest in Sumter County Court on 2 charges of battery and resisting arrest in a connection with a golf cart road rage incident. Ring a bell? He has been placed on probation for 1 year and ordered to perform 40 hours of community service. He was also ordered to complete anger management and write a letter of apology. I'm sorry. Did he leave the scene of the accident? Would that not be considered a hit and run? Loss of a license immediately? A hairdresser will be subject to a random screening as part of a drunk driving sentence. Amy Pauline Kidd, 41 of Lady Lake, entered a plea of no contest this past Thursday in Lady Lake County Court onto a charge of driving under the influence. She will lose her driver's license for 6 months, has been placed on probation for 1 year, and has been ordered to perform 50 hours of community service, though she may buy out at a rate of $10 per hour. In addition, she cannot possess or consume alcohol and will be subject to random screenings. This isn't the only punishment this girl's going to get. This is just the only punishment that the court can enforce. Kidd had been arrested in November 2021 on a charge of driving under the influence after nearly hitting a construction barrier on US 27 and 441 in Lady Lake. The former Salon J. Lee hairdresser was later arrested February 4th in 2022 on a drunk driving charge at Southern Trace Plaza in the Villages. She was later acquitted by a Sumter County jury in that case. After the second arrest, a Lady Lake judge had ordered Kidd not to consume or possess alcohol. In order to ensure that happened, Kidd was ordered to strap on a Scram alcohol monitor which samples the wearer's perspiration every 30 minutes. Kidd is a graduate of the Tonnage Salon Institute in the Villages. A villager has filed paperwork indicating he will challenge the longtime clerk of the circuit court in Sumter County. Daniel Malakowski of the village of Lake Deaton has filed to run against clerk of the circuit court Gloria Hayward. Hayward has been serving as clerk since 1997 and is the lone Democratic top office holder in Sumter County. Malakowski will be running as a Republican. He tried to upset Don Wiley from the District 5 Sumter Commission seat in 2022, but lost in the GOP primary. Wiley was recently forced to relinquish the District 5 seat due to his reinstatement of Commissioner Orrin Miller. How about letters to the editor? And we're going to be done with this week's short news. There wasn't a whole lot going on. That's a good thing. To the editor, although my wife and I have been to the Villages 4 times and are currently doing our homework, we at this time do not live there. So some may say, mind your thoughts and keep them to yourself. I follow reading the letters to the editors for information purposes and just to get the vibe of the residents. As a member of the fire service for 30 years and an ex-captain, I have to respond to the gentleman, Nick, from the village of St. Catherine, who says, just say no to the proposed yearly fee of $325 for fire protection. I cannot believe that someone would complain about spending $27 a month for these firefighters to provide you with 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year protection that can save your life. Amazing. The options are less firefighters, less firehouses, longer response times, and God forbid it's 3 a.m. and I'm trapped in my burning house at $325 a year that you voted against could cost you your life. That's sent in by Brian Madigan from Freeport, Long Island, New York. Well, Brian, I'm not going to argue at all. I've already said my piece about it, that I thought it was $350. Maybe it's $325. That's not the final figure yet. So people don't get all bent out of shape on that. That's just, I think, a proposed amount. And they'll talk about it. They'll bat the ball back and forth. And there'll be a final figure, I'm sure. It may be $325. But as of right now, I think that's just a proposed amount. I've always been for first responders. I support every one of them. During the so-called police defunding thing, I thought that was the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. I would never have thought that certain cities in this country would actually do it, and they did, and now they got to suffer the repercussions of it. But here's the problem with it. Sometimes they don't suffer the repercussions of it because those people are like cancer, and now that repercussion that they started spreads to other states because nobody says those people's got to stay there. They move around. I'm glad to pay the $325 a year just knowing I can pick that phone up, dial 911 and say, hey, my house is on fire and I need help. And 3 minutes later, they're here. That means something to me. That's the reason why I pay fire insurance on my house. Not that I ever need it. Hopefully I'll never need it, but it's there in case I do. That's why we do it, right? Well, anyway, that'll be the short news for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I guess I'll see you on the next one. Be well, be safe, stay aware. See you on the other side. And don't leave that key in the golf cart.